Hey, everybody, this is Brett Ingram, and this is the optYOUmize podcast, the show that helps entrepreneurs build their dream business and dream life. Today, we're talking with Eric McHugh, serial entrepreneur and visionary technologist with a mission to build tools that make the world better. I'm really excited about this because we can all use to shake things up a little bit, I think, and engage in some disruptive ways to change our thinking and our approach to business and life. So with that, welcome, Eric. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Hey, Brent, thank you for having me. I'm really grateful to be here and looking forward to talking with you.
Yeah, I am too. You have a really fascinating background. I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of business people, and I have to say, your background and the things that you've done and gotten involved in are so unique that I'm really excited to dig into that. But to start off with, I was hoping to actually get a little bit about your personal story. Can you share your background and how you started your career?
Yeah, sure. So I'm happy to. And it's nice to meet everyone. I'm Eric, 31 years old, blessed to be in beautiful Los Angeles. My main hobbies are chess, Muay Thai, reading, and meditation. Quick little plug. I recently did a Vipassana meditation retreat, one of the best, most transformative experiences I've ever done. So if that interests you, highly recommend you check it out. In terms of career-wise, I went to school at UCI. Right after college, I was working at Snap, helping craft their ad algorithm. The reason for that is because you just graduated college and okay, let's look at Google, LinkedIn, all those tech companies, and Snap just stuck out to me because it was in Venice Beach. So Venice Beach is a very cool area in California, and their company structure was interesting too. So it wasn't just one big campus. They bought a bunch of different properties on Venice Beach, so you can jump around different houses and work with different teams. And I thought that was cool. It was right before their IPO, so I wanted to be around a company during that energy time. And from there, I'm like, okay, let's get another job. And I joined as a bankruptcy consultant because, again, after college, doctor, lawyer, consultant seems to pay well. And that didn't really align with my ethos of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency at the time. So I quit that without a plan. And that's what really kicked off my entrepreneurship journey. So I knew I wanted to work in cryptocurrency. I wasn't sure how. So I started going to cryptocurrency meetups in my local area, met the original ACES team, which was a different name at that point in time. We were ideating a problem we were ideating one late night using whiteboards and stuff. And we had a problem with referral networks, like a referral code, all the tracking and referrals and all that stuff. So that itself became a different startup called Polly or CartRev. And then that got funded by one of the top incubators in the world. So for your listeners, an incubator is essentially startup school. So it's our desk clump is next to another startup, which is next to another startup. And the startup next to us was Liquid Death when there were two people. So at a very young age, so I was younger at that point in time, and you'll love this because I know you're all about self-knowledge.
Yeah.
At that age, I was able to network and just talk with tons of different entrepreneurs in different fields with different backgrounds at different levels of companies. So that rapidly accelerated my learning journey. So I picked up tons of information. And how I got to where I am now, I was on a podcast tour specifically for ShopX, kind of like what we're doing now. And just kind of what's happening right now, me and the host were getting along pretty well. We kept in touch after the show. And then this AI looking thing started following me on Twitter. I'm like, what's this? Oh, this is Mark. I'm like, oh, I'm thinking about building this AI dating matchmaker. I'm like, oh, that's really funny. It's a good idea. I think it can help a lot of people. So I've been building that simultaneously with aces.fun. So I'm working on dating. Aces.fun, another project we have is called Whole on Labs. It's essentially leveraging AI to build products and services that help people. So that's in the background. And another little side gig we have is something called Discount Emails, which is essentially just reselling emails. So if you wanted a Google Workspace, you can just get it for cheaper. So you'd be funding entrepreneurs versus Google. So there are plenty of ways to do things. I'm just kind of messing around and figuring it out as we go along.
That's awesome. It's exciting too to be involved in so many different things. I had a very short sort of run in the Silicon Valley area because and actually when I look back, I mean, for me, it's a little bit of an age thing. I mean, the all of the technology stuff didn't really take off until I was already out of school, and so I wasn't really in a situation where I could have followed that. But I think if I were younger again, I would like to go to school. on the West Coast, I would definitely, focus on doing something in the tech sector because I've always been fascinated by it. I've always loved technology. I mean, even as a little kid, my older brother got like the old Atari
Oh
400,
yes,
like so he could program and
yeah.
stuff, and so I was tinkering with that really young. He actually became a developer, and so that's what he did for his career. But in the late '90s, I was fortunate enough to be the first East Coast hire for a Santa Clara based consulting company. And what they did was consulting for basically system administration, but we had consultants at all the places. I mean, the
Oh,
Lucas
nice.
Ranch, we had all the startups. They, because it was the .com boom, everybody was throwing money at it. Nobody knew what was going to happen. You knew it was a bubble, and you knew it wasn't
Yeah.
going to last forever. So we made it a couple of years. They were there a few years before I got in. We made it a couple extra years. I was working in New York. We built New York into New York, Boston, Washington, D.C. We opened Seattle. We were about to open London, and the plan was to IPO in the next year. And while we weren't a product based company, so we weren't going to make the kind of money that they did, it was still going to be pretty decent. And that's when the .com bubble burst,
Oh,
and that was it. So it was like, oh no, that was fun while it lasted. But as a funny side, one of our consultants had an opportunity. Two of his buddies that worked at our company as well said, we're going to go off and we're going to take some stock options and go to do this little startup. It's some online auction thing. I don't know if you want to come with us.
oh
And
God.
he was like, no, I'm going to stick here and do the consulting. They were two of the early guys in on eBay. Um, there was one of the guys, he was like 20 something years old, high school education. He went to Altion and got like 25% vested before they IPO. So it was just crazy because just to see the power that market had, and but sort of the roulette element of it, where for some people all their dreams came true and it worked out, and for other people you were that close and it just crashed and burned. And it's a feast or famine thing sometimes, but it's super exciting. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's funny how you mentioned eBay too. So what Aces.fun is that's being built right now. So that's a derivative market for RWA collectibles. So that's kind of like an eBay. It's like an auction house. So we're sourcing the products right now. But not only do you get the product, not only get the product, but you get the community and the cryptocurrency attached to that. So it's based off of, it's a combination of eBay and Open Bazaar, if you ever heard of those two things, with a legit little spin. So hopefully that works out. But yeah, no, it's a fun place. And just like we're in the tech bubble, I think we're about to enter the AI bubble. So it's just like history. I know people will say history is kind of like a circle, but I think it's more of like a spiral. So it's similar, but it's always ascending. And I think we're just about to re-enter that age where, because LLMs, and part of the reason we launched dating when we did is, so what do you, dating is the first ever AI powered matchmaking service. And I think it's one of the first apps that can be considered a layer two on top of the main sources. So for example, we're built on ChatGPT because, so we get all the benefits of ChatGPT. Whenever they push their updates, whenever they do all that stuff, we reap all the benefits. And with larger companies like TikTok, and I'm talking to them right now, like TikTok, Tinder, all of them, they're trying to build their own LLMs and they're struggling, whereas we're just floating around. So we're about to see a bunch of different AI companies build like that. And like I said, we're built on top of ChatGPT. So we were actually restricted for a while based on the benefits of ChatGPT. So like for the earliest part of that company, it's like it simply wouldn't work because ChatGPT wasn't there yet. But as you can tell, AI is getting really good. And Sam Altman just spoke about this. It's like, yeah, the capabilities are getting much better. Now's the time to start building the products. So it's reached the point where you're about to see an influx of just products. So like I'm sure you've seen, you've been online, you've been seeing all those like Google video generators. That's one phase. The next phase is little SaaS platforms. Right now, it's like turning pictures into cinema. So like, there's a bunch of different phases coming out, and yeah. And with AI, you can crank out products too. So that's kind of the basis with Hold On Labs. Is now that the AI is live, you can crank out a bunch of products and see what fits. So for example, with ShopX as a cryptocurrency startup, that when we built that thing, so it was a Shopify integration that integrated NFTs into someone's Shopify store where they could attach a
Okay.
e-commerce benefit to an NFT. So like I buy the Nike pass, I get 50% off products, exclusive access, all that stuff. That itself costs around $2 million to make in terms of development costs with like around a year and a half of like a development team just straight up building it. Now with AI and cursor and technologies like that, one person could probably solo that in like 3 months for like 30K. So now it's more about, and I think this is overall a good thing too, because I think people are happiest when they're serving other people. And
Yeah.
I believe in the power of authenticity. So like if I try to be you, I try to do you, I can't beat you at being you because you're number one in the world at you being you. But at the same time, you can't beat me at being me. So if logically I'm happiest serving other people, how do I best serve other people at scale? I have to follow my genuine intellectual curiosity because that's actually what I'm curious about. It's actually what I care about, which is why it resulted in, I guess my career path isn't the most normal thing, but to me, it's like, I'm just kind of following what I want to do. So it's completely normal. That's the logic behind that.
Yeah, and I actually love that way of thinking because I think that, look, whatever we do for a vocation, whatever we do for work, you're going to put a lot of your time, you're going to put a lot of your energy and a lot of your life into it. So you might as well enjoy what you're doing. My wife and I tell our kids all the time, you know what I mean? Don't chase the money. If what you're doing is something that, you can make money, a lot of money doing, great. But chase the thing you're passionate about, because if it's something you love, and this is something that occurred to me actually early in my career. I was in the staffing industry. And I remember, like it was yesterday, I came into the office and I was reasonably good at it because I'm personable enough. I'm smart enough. Like I've got the tools to be decent at staffing or sales or whatever else, but I didn't love it. Right. So it was a job for me. And I came into the office one morning and the owner, it was a small company, she was in there before me and she had already like been in like way early, and she comes running up to me. She's all excited. I was on the phone last night with this lady, and I just know that this is the right job. She was so obsessed with getting this woman into this other job. Had nothing to do with the commissions. Had nothing to do with the sales. She knew that this job that she had found was the best career move for this other woman, and was desperate to convince her of that. Again, not for her own gain, but because it was the right. And I sat there and I'm thinking in my own mind, while I'm impressed with what she's telling me, I can't compete with that.
Yeah.
Right. If this is what she does, if she jumps out of bed in the morning and this is what her job is, and she loves it that much, I don't care how much I study. I don't care how hard I work. I will never compete with that because I don't have that same feeling. I get up, I put on my clothes, I go to work. It's a job. At the end of the day, I go home, right? And so find that thing that you've got that level of passion for. And like you said before, right, you're going to be the only one who's going to be that good at doing that your own way. And so other people are going to have a hard time competing with you instead of you trying to look outwardly and say, who can I compete with and beat? So, I mean, I love that philosophy. So I'm curious, you've scaled SaaS startups, you've launched NFT platforms, you've consulted across industries. What are the biggest takeaways or lessons that you've learned from all those experiences?
Yeah. So, and that's a great point. And I want to touch on what you just said because that's also a really big lesson. It's the most important thing I've ever learned. So I think of everything in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. So when you're saying like I'm happy, I'm loving, I'm sad, I'm angry, all you're saying is you're vibing that specific frequency. So with that lady who's crushing the job because she actually loved it, she's in the frequency of love. She's in the frequency of authenticity, which is going to be higher than whatever your frequency was at. Even though, because you're a smart dude, you're a personal dude, like so you could be doing all the right things, saying all the
Yep.
right things, but that customer, the person she's talking with, is clearly going to gravitate to her because she's at a higher frequency, and then she's going to attract those people who are the higher frequency, and that's obviously going to escalate into more success for her. And to loop that in back to business startups, I used to, because obviously for like as an entrepreneurship, I would go to a bunch of networking events, like those like typical Silicon Valley, or it's, well, I hated it, but it's Santa Monica, they call it Silicon Beach. So you go to those networking events. So like a big networking lesson I've learned is you go in with that mindset. You go in like my goal is to help as many people as I can. Because before I go in, I'm like, okay, let's see what I can get. Let's try to make this sale. Let's see what I can extract from this meeting. And then with that mindset, I'd meet people who are also trying to sell me, also trying to extract value, which isn't the best way to perform a business relationship. But when I go in, like, okay, I'm trying to help people. What does this mean? It means I walk in Now I'm meeting people who I'm trying to help you, but then you're also trying to help me. And the type of business relationships that have formed from that type of mindset and thinking have just been infinitely better than the
Yeah.
way I was doing before. Another big twist that I'm not sure if everyone agrees with is, and this is honestly the hardest thing that I had to learn, is sometimes the best thing you can do is to go slower instead of faster. Meaning in the startup world, you're like go 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 go. You're working like 8-10 hours a week. You come across lots of problems. So the name of the game is just constant adaptability. So you just kind of like try a bunch of different things. A lot of things fail. Something works, it starts working for 3 days, fails again, but you have to realize why it failed and then optimize off of that. But a lot of times, just like I want to try the next thing, but then you have a limit, like you said, you have a limited amount of in startups. You have a much more limited amount of time and money for your project, so you have to be intentional with that. So instead of like trying the next thing right away, maybe go for a walk, maybe meditate, maybe sit on the beach. And I found that the best answers have come from that situations. Like a lot of times, like my best days are literally just like from a walk or just kind of listening to binaural beats. And another thing I've learned is a big philosophy that's helped me is the accept, redirect, and act mindset. So whenever something happens, because again, startups, a bunch of stuff is happening. Working at multiple startups, a bunch of stuff is happening. So what's the first thing? So let's say something that's perceived as bad happens. Well, first off, I don't perceive anything as bad. I think all events are neutral. And I think God or the universe has a plan for me, and I think it's an overall good plan. And I'm too small and insignificant to understand the plan. So even if something's bad, even if something bad happened, that's overall good. Like for example, one time we were working at a startup. We haven't been funded for a while, so everyone's kind of stressed out. We finally got our first seed investor, and they pulled out at the last minute. And we're just like, oh, that kind of sucks. But it turns out they were actually the wrong investor, and then them leaving made room for the right investor to come in. And a lot of startups do fail because they partner up with the wrong investors, because that just eats up space on the cap table. So that mindset helped, but the accept, redirect, act helps a lot, because you're just constantly you're in a river. You're trying to optimize your flow. You're not fighting against the river, because that doesn't work. That's where the accept comes in, because like if something bad happens and you're not accepting it, that event's just going to continue and persist until you eventually do accept it. So the quicker you accept it, the better. The redirect is because, okay, great, I accept this event. What should I do next? And this comes from chess, because like in chess, let's say we're playing chess. I make my move. It could have been the worst move possible. It could have been the best move possible. That doesn't really matter. What I have to do next is make the best move possible in my current situation and just keep doing that. So that's where the redirect comes in. And of course, I mean, I'm big into manifestation, but I'm not big into the secret, meaning you can't just like write something on a whiteboard and it just comes to you. No, you have to do the act portion too. And again, if you're acting, that it creates like a circle, because if you're not acting, you can't accept stuff and you can't redirect. So you just act, redirect, and accept, and just over and over again, and eventually you kind of win.
Yeah, and it's a very simple paradigm, but it's really powerful because at the end of the day, like you said, a lot of stuff happens, and if you treat it or you sort of view it from the perspective of something bad happens, oh, why does this happen to me? Well, then you almost feed into that negative energy, and then you sort of just expect other bad things to happen. If instead, I mean, adaptability at this point is, you know, clearly one of the most important traits you could possibly have, because things are changing at such a rapid speed that it's impossible to predict everything. I coach a lot of entrepreneurs, and one of the things that I see all the time is they'll set up a business model, or they've got a funnel set up to be able to generate sales, and they think the idea is, well, if I get it set up, then that's the finish line. No, that's the starting line, because now you've got something that has the potential to be able to make you sales, but you still have to be able to get traffic into it. You have to convert those traffic into leads. Then you got to convert the leads into clients. Chances are your first shot at it is not going to work. So you're going to need to analyze what you're getting as results and then modify your approach. But if you're constantly adjusting, you're constantly moving toward what's working and away from what's not, you're paying attention, then you can keep adjusting until you get to the point. And, we've heard this adage with sports, with athletes, with movie stars, whatever, where you see them on the stage, you see them on the podium, you see them getting the award, and you think, wow, How gifted are they? How lucky are they? You don't see the hours and hours and hours in the gym when everybody else is doing other stuff and going to parties. You don't see the hours and hours and hours working on their craft and all the other things that you need to do behind the scenes to get to where you are. And you don't see all the rejection that they went through at every phase. And when you pull back the curtain, it's one of the reasons I'm fascinated by biographies. And I really love to learn about other people's stories, because what I find is oftentimes what you see as the manifestation of what they've created is not the journey, right? That's just the end result. That's the visible part of it. But the iceberg is all underneath. And that's where all the work came in. That's where, like you said, the action and the redirection and the reassessment and all those other things. And I think, to your other point, a lot of stuff you try doesn't work, so you have to be flexible, and you have to be adaptable, and you have to follow the things that give you joy, follow the things that you think are working, and lean into that. And I think it's, really sage advice, and super important, because it's easy to look at other people from the outside and think about how easy everybody else has it. And the reality of it is, I don't know too many people, in my 52 years on the planet, that I've run into that have said, yeah, since I was born, every light was green and everything worked out perfectly right from the start. Um, so I know you're big on rethinking what's possible. So I have to ask you, what do you think is the biggest flaw or the biggest shortcoming in the way that most people think about business or about life?
Yeah, I'd say the biggest flaw, and since you mentioned biographies, two of my favorite are Shoe Dog and Ride of a Lifetime. So those are great. I'd highly recommend you check that out.
I
Honestly,
will.
I would say so that's the Nike and Disney stories.
Yep.
But I would say the biggest flaw in people is their mindset. So it's the limited mindset they have, because I think your thoughts eventually create your reality. So whatever you think about is what you naturally create. So when you mentioned that someone's negative energy or negative thoughts lead to those circumstances, I think it actually creates those circumstances. Because right now, we're both missing like 99% of what's actually happening. And if we're focused on the negative, we're just only noticing the negative, and then that creates a more negative situation. So, for example, I could have gotten into this podcast because it's 5:30 for me. I mean, I'm up anyways, but like, I could have gotten in like, okay, well, I don't really want to get 5:30 going to a podcast, and then this podcast would have likely not been a good one. But no, I went on to the mindset like, okay, I'm grateful that I get to go on this podcast. I've met tons of cool people on podcasts. It's something I enjoy doing, and now it's going to be a good podcast, and that's just going to lead into a snowballing effect of overall a good day. So I would say overall mindset is probably the biggest flaw, and I think it's by design. So I think a lot of people are brainwashed or programmed to have an overall negative, limited mindset. Because again, if you go back to the energy, frequency, vibration thing, it's all a scale. So it's 0 to 1,000. People like Jesus, Krishna, and the Buddha, they reached 1,000, which is why they're so impactful today. Love, joy, peace, those emotions are at the higher scale. So those are around like 500 to 700. But below 200, so if you're below 200, that's when you're taking energy from someone. So if you ever talked with someone and you feel drained, because I know that happens, that's because they're below 200. But if you are talking with someone who's above 200, they're giving energy. And the areas between like 100 and 200, like anger, fear, hate, those negative emotions are when someone's most likely to be controlled. So, or easily to control. So like if I wanted to really control you, if I could get you in a fear mindset, I could more easily get you to do what I want, even if it's not for your benefit. So if you look at social media and why they're pushing this type of content that you consume, like for example, Twitter, for example, 99% of people are good people just trying to live their life and just kind of do their thing and just kind of enjoy what they're doing. Yet why, when you go on the news, why when you go on social media, why is 99% negative? It puts the mindset that overall things are bad, which keeps people in a specific frequency, and that keeps them from creating the life I want. And I think that goes back to the fear versus faith mindset. There are two types of mindset. There are fear and there's faith. I have a faith-based mindset and it seemed to work out for me. But if you have a fear-based mindset, that's when you try things and it's a draining mindset. So like if you go into anything scared, it's like you can go into one thing. It's like, oh, this is going to work out. This is going to be great. And then even if it doesn't work out, you know, that adaptability thing comes into play. But if you go in thinking, oh, why is this not going to work out? Why are my sales not coming? You're just eventually going to create that reality for you and you can't really grow in that state.
Yeah, I think that's so true, and I've seen it play out in little instances over and over. And I have to say, look, I'm guilty of it myself. I would love to always be positive and always feel like I could assume the best was going to happen, and but I found myself sometimes spiraling into the negative side of things when some stuff doesn't go the way I want. I'm working really hard, and it is fascinating to me because the energy that like just all around you changes. Because even if I go as simple as go to the grocery store, if I'm smiling and I'm like interacting with other people, fascinatingly they're doing the same thing. If I've got my head down and I'm rushing past people to try to get my stuff and people are in my way and I'm grumpy, you could feel them repel as well. They don't want to be near you because they can just sense that you're. It's amazing to me how that is so palpable and tangible yet unspoken, right? And so oftentimes like we don't necessarily consciously address it, but at the same time it's so obvious, it's so clear. And it is amazing to me that has that kind of impact. But I definitely try to consciously put myself in a positive mind frame more often than not, because I find, at least for me, my default otherwise is skews negative. And I do think that's pretty common. I think for a lot of people, if we don't consciously fill our minds and consciously have that idea to focus on the positive and what we're working on and all that other stuff, it's easy for that negativity to creep in, and that's not a great place to be. It's You're not as happy, you're not as productive, you're not as successful. So, um, yeah, I think that's really interesting. So, as someone who considers spirituality, the ability to influence your mindset and daily decision making, what do you see as the connection between spirituality and the physical world?
So that's a good question. And sorry, I do want to touch on the
Sure.
mindset thing really quickly. It's you're creating a positive timeline and a negative timeline. So if you go out and you have that negative mindset, that often starts, and then it can lead into more negative events. Whereas it's like you mentioned, you go out, you're smiling, you go even to the grocery store, you'll find that the most random good events happen to you and lead to more opportunities. Like you'll meet that next business partner, you'll meet the next wife or the love of your life, or you'll meet a group of friends that you wouldn't have met if you were in that negative mindset. And a big issue for that, or a big reason why people are stuck in the negative mindset, is their content. So like, I view it as a diet. Like, if you eat good food, you feel good. You eat bad food, you feel bad. The same thing applies for the type of content you consume, the people you're around. Literally everything you're absorbing either is negative or positive. So if you can fix your content, it'll naturally fix the mindset you have. So for example, in my personal case, I used to go on Instagram Reels a lot. I'm like, okay, one time I took and the key's awareness, dude. Like, so one time, like, okay, how much of these Instagram Reels adds value to my life? Turns out it was like pretty much zero. So, but then I'm also addicted to Instagram Reels, or I'm addicted to it, like, because of my age, I'm kind of addicted to Facebook and that dopamine hit that's been programmed in my life. So instead of trying to delete Reels and creating like tension in my life, now I have chess.com. It's next to all my social media apps. So when I have the urge to play or to go on Instagram Reels, I just break out a quick game of chess or two, which is just much more productive. In terms of the spirituality question, I think the spirituality question is the base. So a big quote, I believe it is, as above, so below, as within, so without. As within, so without essentially means that most people think the outer world is a reflection of, or most people think the inner world is a reflection of the outer world. I think the outer world is a reflection of the inner world. So it's like people are thinking like, oh, these outside circumstances are shaping my inner world, but I think it's your actual mindset that is actually shaping the outside of the world. So like, for example, if you're looking at a mirror and the mirror is not smiling, how do you get the mirror to smile? You can't force the mirror to smile. You have to smile yourself and it'll eventually change. And in terms of the spirituality aspect, I believe there are three planes of existences. So I think that there's a spiritual plane on the top, the mental plane in the middle, and the physical plane at the bottom. The physical plane is what works in the slowest mindset. So how do you change, like, let's say things aren't working in the physical plane for you, you just have to change your thought patterns, and that's just working in the mental plane, and that eventually trickles down to the physical plane. So with the companies I'm building, the intention behind those companies are good, and that's reflecting in the companies that are being produced. And from a marketing perspective, I look at it in terms of thought energy. So the longer I can get someone to think about dating, matching a billion happy couples, the more likely it is to succeed. So that's where I take the marketing perspective and loop it back into the spiritual. And like you mentioned, going out and the meditation has been one of the most helpful things for me in the world with that, because like that's when my ideas really flow. Like, I was telling you, you go on that walk and you get the ideas. I've done tons of meditation, and now I get tons of. I think of them as more just like straight downloads, where I'm just like, oh shit, that's gonna work. And the reason it's so helpful is because if you think of meditation like an email inbox, so like imagine you don't check your email inbox for 5 years. You open your email inbox for the first time, and there's gonna be like thousands of messages. It's gonna be overwhelmed. You're just gonna be crowded. Your brain's gonna be cluttered. You're just not sure what to do with it. You're just like, too much. Meditation is like that with your thoughts. So if someone hasn't started meditation practice, they have thousands of thoughts that haven't been addressed. But once you start meditating on a consistent basis, you're addressing each thought individually, one by one, over and over again. And eventually there's just none left. And then from that clear mindset, you're most susceptible to the best information to come. And obviously, if you're in a calm mindset, that's where the best decisions come. And if you're making good decisions, that's the base. If you're making good decisions with spirituality as the base, like we mentioned earlier, time and energy and money are scarce in startups. You're likely to make your time, money, and more specifically, energy go farther.
Yeah, and I think that's what you mentioned too about sort of the almost serendipitous way that answers come to you and new ideas is fascinating. I mean, I know my brother, when he was younger, he was struggling with this math problem. He was working on it for a couple of days, actually. And he went to bed one night and he woke up the next day and he dreamt about what the answer was. And when he started to write it out, it worked perfectly. And it's amazing to me that way. I've had the same experience where I was struggling with something and then I'm in the shower, or like you said, I'm out for a walk, maybe I'm walking my dog or something like that, and out of nowhere I'm not thinking about it anymore, but my mind's still working on it, and then the idea comes to me, because you can still work on it, but sometimes the opposite of trying to work it so hard is the best way to get to the answer, is just to let it come to you and let sort of things play out, as opposed to trying to force it all the time. And so there's value in both. I mean, sometimes you have to put your
Yeah.
head down and just really work something difficult. But the other side of it is, I do think you need that balance where you have that ability to unplug, you have that ability to recharge, because the other thing it allows you to do is get perspective. And I think so often, and I see this a lot when, dealing with entrepreneurs and business owners, is that when we're so fixated on what we're doing on a daily basis, it makes it very difficult to be able to step back and see it from the outside, where there might be some really obvious answers, tweaks, or breakthroughs that if you could just step back and see it, wow, but because you're so immersed in it all the time and you don't get a break from it, then you have a hard time doing that. So I definitely think that that's true. So I'm curious to your take on fitness then as well. So fitness, right? It's clearly mostly in the physical realm type of idea, but um, is a fitness routine then something that you think is connected to meditation, connected to spirituality?
Yeah, the thing is, everything is connected. So it's hard to be a good meditator if your body's in shape. So like, I can tell you're great big into fitness too. Like you clearly look like you work out, but like the gym is a staple. Honestly, sometimes the gym is like a meditation for me. So like I go to the gym every morning. Usually I'm at the gym at this point in time. It's part of the base. It sets my vibe high. I love the gym, and you can't serve people if you're like, think of it like a car. If you have a shitty car that you're not taking care of, and you have to drive people around, you can't properly serve people if your car is working. And the same thing applies to your body. It's like you can't properly serve the world, you can't properly work to the best of your ability if your body is struggling to walk. And like if you're out of shape, if you're like, and it's all related too. So like, again, like it's part of your diet. Like if you're like, if I were fat, I were out of shape, I know that's a choice. All my ideas would be colored by that. I would know, okay, I'm out of shape. I wouldn't, and this would be subconsciously, I think too. It's not conscious. Maybe it's probably, it should be consciously, because you should lose the weight. But like subconsciously, my brain would be like, that's when the negative thoughts come. It's like, yeah, why would the salesperson say yes? Or why would this client say yes to me? I don't even have the discipline or the respect for myself to take care of my body. Whereas if you have that physicality aspect, it does add so much. Like, for example, and I'm obviously never going to go around fighting people, but I've trained Muay Thai for 5, 6 years. The reality is, when I walk into any room, I'm like, oh, I could be able to handle myself. And this just adds a great amount of confidence. And it does come from fitness. Because again, like, yeah, like what you eat, what you are, what you consume, fitness is the base of it. And again, like the way I believe in God, I believe in the universe, whatever you want to call it. The way I view your body is like, let's say I were to lend you you probably don't care about that. But let's say I lend you a Lamborghini, like a fancy car. And then we come back a year later and then you've taken just poor care of the car. I'd be like, okay, this Brett guy, I'm not going to lend him a car anymore because it doesn't take care of it. Whereas if you're taking great care of your car, it's like, oh, I mean, I did lend it to you, but you're taking great care of it. I'll lend you more stuff because you seem awesome. And the same thing applies to your body. It's like, if I take poor care of my body, God will be like, what's this guy doing? No more opportunities for you until you fix this. Whereas if I'm taking great care, it's like more opportunities do come. And I found that being in shape has there's been so many opportunities and people I've met that I could tell have gone better because I'm in shape. In reality, it's one of the first things that people notice. Like, oh, they're in shape. Like, look, we're both wearing just like plain t-shirts because we're in shape. The plain t-shirt works. So if we meet someone, like, it's a good first impression. I clearly love it. I love fitness. This is great.
Yeah, I do too. It's something I got involved in really young, and it's one of the things for my two sons that I tried to get them interested in young as well. So when they were, teenagers, my younger son still is, but my older son is in his early 20s. But I started bringing them to the gym. They were soccer players anyway, and for my older son, he picked up on it right away, started to love it, and then I encouraged him. I said, "Look, I've taught you enough. Go with your friends. It's
you to go with
I
dad.
get right. I mean, it's cool, and I love to go with you. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to kick you out of the nest, but the idea is I want you to be social about it. I want you to have friends. I don't want you to feel like you're in the gym like with your dad, so like you can't. And so for him, it was pretty instant. My younger son, it was interesting because he initially did not take to it right away and was sort of like, eh. But I think it was an insecurity. I think he didn't feel as strong as his older brother, and he didn't feel as strong as his dad. And so he felt self-conscious about it. He's very aware of that kind of stuff in a way my older son is not. And so it took him a little bit. But now he's maybe more fanatical than my older son about it. He's there all the time, totally like worried about what he eats, worried about. And so, I mean, in a healthy way, but he's definitely really focused on it as well. And for me, I always looked at that as a sort of a lifelong gift because I know for me, I feel out of balance. And I've had times in my life where I've been busy or I had things going on or I was injured or sick and I wasn't able to, and I don't feel in balance if I can't work out. And to that point, the times where I find it the most difficult to work out because I'm in a bad place or I'm having a rough day or whatever else are the days where it matters the most. Because if I force myself to go get up and get my workout in, it changes the entire complexion of the day. From the rest of the day on, I feel great. Like you said, there's an energy you project. You feel good about yourself. You feel good about other people. You feel good about the world. And I think that it sort of shines back on you. So I think, I'm definitely a big believer in fitness. I think it's super important. And we also, we want to live well.
Yeah.
And it's easy to live well when you're young, but if you don't take care of yourself as you age, I've seen the people, that don't age well. And it's, that's, you don't really want to do that. Like you can't control everything, but you want to do the things that you can to the degree you can control it. So at least you put yourself, you stack the odds in your favor of being in a better position with that. So, I think that's super important as well. So one of the markets that you're involved in is dating. How is AI changing the way that we date and the way we form relationships? Because obviously we're all really connected, but there's a lot of debate about the idea of doing this through technology.
Yeah, so I view AI as just a support. It's like for AI in general, I think it's a support system for humans to leverage their natural talents and creativities. It's like a lever. So it's like if I'm good at one thing, AI can 10x it. If it's a good thing, it's good for the world. If it's a bad thing, it's bad for the world. In terms of AI powered matchmaking, it's just trying to find the right people who could genuinely connect and present them the opportunity to do so. And it solves three main problems presented by normal dating apps. So first off, most dating apps are owned by Match.com, so there is some monopoly. the top 5% of users on dating apps get access to everyone across the app, creating a skewed marketplace. Most dating apps are like, are they hot or not? Yes, no, swipe left, swipe right, which isn't honestly the best way to connect. And the third issue is the most interesting one, in my opinion. It's the incentive structure behind the dating app. So let's say Tinder matches a happy couple. What does it mean? Hopefully, the happy couple then leaves the dating app, but this would result in a loss of a paying customer for Tinder, which means the shareholder and user incentives aren't aligned. So what dating does is we auto-generate dating profiles based on a user's digital footprint and chat history of Cupid, and then use those chat history or those profiles to generate matches using AI to leverage pattern recognition and data analysis to see who succeed. So, for example, if you were to create an account, I'm pretty sure you're married, but like let's say you can use that too. But like let's say you were to create an account, it gives you a bunch of tags. So it's like, okay, Brett's really big into fitness. He's big into biographies. He has 2 kids, so it creates a tag system based on you. And then it's, Brett's super into fitness. He's like a zero point 0.9 correlation. Okay, let's match him with his wife. 0.7 into mountain biking. So there's a high correlation there, and then it would generate the match based on that with the intention of putting you in the position to succeed. So you're matching with people you have compatibility with. And the cool thing is, like, let's say your tag is you have a gray shirt on. Okay, well, the AI could be like, oh, the tag, he has a gray shirt on. That correlates really high with people who like Japanese food. And me and you would be like, okay, that doesn't make any sense. Gray shirt, Japanese food, how does that relate? But the AI would be like, okay, no. You're missing the point. I have all the data, I have all the analysis, and turns out for whatever reason, people with gray shirts and Japanese food always tend to match. So it can find those patterns that we would miss. And then this is where it would apply to you. Like, let's say you do match, it can switch to a relationship butler. So like, okay, Brett, well, you can for couples too. So you could join the app. Your wife could join the app. You could remove yourself from the pool, and then you could be like, okay, what should we do for dinner? Here's a good suggestion. Or we're having this specific problem in our relationship. How can we help? Or our kid is not getting into the gym as much as he should. Why do you think this is? And it could help you. And the reason why it's more effective than ChatGPT and why we're layering on top of it is people are asking AI for relationship advice, meaning like, what should I do about this situation? And it's giving them an answer solely based on them. So for me, I'm like, okay, what does this mean? And it'll give me an answer, but it's based on what it knows about me. And I obviously love the answer because I'm like, of course that's the right answer. It's what I would have given without knowing it. But with our, so it takes a ChatGPT, takes advantage of one person. With our software, it takes into account both people. So if you and your wife were to ask a question, not only is it getting the data from your like chat history and all the benefits ChatGPT has, it has that personalized layer of all your accounts, all your chat history with Cupid on top of that, plus with your wife too. So it's going to answer based on your both chat histories and your digital footprint, and giving an answer based on both people. And with relationships, that's obviously really important. So the difference between dating and normal dating apps is we're there after the relationship, which creates better incentives, meaning if we're incentivized to create the good matches versus keep someone on the app. And honestly, it could work long term with anyone. Like me and my friends use it. Well, we use it just to kind of mess around with each other. It's like, oh, which anime character are you, or who's like the gayest or whatever. And then we use it to make fun of each other. But like you can use it. Okay, like let's say me and you were to meet for the first time in like New York. It's like, okay, me and Brett are going to New York. What should we do? And it could give us a really good suggestion based on both of our inputs. It would honestly probably suggest a workout, which I could see totally happening. Or yeah, so like it's there. And it's the cool thing is dating's right now, it's the dumbest it's ever going to be. So every second of every day, it's getting smarter and smarter and better and better. And I think we're one of the first consumer apps for AI. And I think that's why we have a pretty big lead in that space.
Very cool. That's a good explanation for the value and the benefits for it for sure. Because at the end of the day, right, if we're really looking for somebody we're going to be compatible with, oftentimes I think we fall into patterns of what other people tell us, or maybe what our parents did, or what models we see in our lives. But sometimes an app might know us better than we know ourselves. And so if it has all that other information, and it has the information of what kind of works together, that you can see where that would make a lot of sense. So where do you see, pull out your crystal ball, where do you see the future going, just in general, life, technology, business? Do you have any ideas of where you think things are headed over the next, I don't know, 10, 20, 50, 100 years?
I view it as entering an age of abundance. So the cool thing is with I think AI and cryptocurrency are going to unlock that for a lot of people. And with the age of the reason I'm so big into cryptocurrency and Bitcoin is it's better incentive. Meaning, in Bitcoin, I'm incentivized to create value because if I want to get rich, like let's say I want to become rich right now without producing any value, how would I do this personally? Well, the best way for me to do this is to place myself right next to the money printer, aka the Federal Reserve. If I'm right next to the money printer, I'm extracting money. Every time I extract money, I'm stealing from you, I'm stealing from me. And because I have the power of the money, I place myself in a high position in government. Let's say I have the Federal Reserve, you don't, you can't beat me because I have unlimited money. So now I'm at the top, and I bring two of my friends at the top, and now we have the situation, and I think we both just know it kind of sucks. Whereas in Bitcoin, if I want to become as rich, and I do want to become as rich, but I think money's a neutral thing. I think it's great. So I want to become as rich as possible in a Bitcoin world. How do I do this? Well, I have to create as much value for as many people as possible. So like if I wanted your Bitcoin, Brett, I couldn't take it from you. I couldn't print it away from you. I have to produce something that you want, and then you give me your Bitcoin. So now my incentive is to create as much value as I can for the world. And now with I can better leverage my talents. Like so now, like 50 years ago, I'm Filipino. I was born in the slums in the Philippines. I'm kind of shit out of luck. But now with AI, I can create a website in a second. I can create copy in a second. I can ideate better in a second. I can do a bunch of things with AI. So now I have an idea in my head. I can more quickly make it a physical, tangible thing, and then try, learn, and adapt. So maybe that business fails, but at least I try, learn, and adapt. And so now with AI, I can better do what I'm naturally good at and naturally gifted at to try to serve the world. So if more people are doing that at scale, like it's a compounding effect. Like our generation, whatever, it's fine. But like imagine if people have that mindset 3, 4 generations down the line, they're just trying to produce stuff that serve people and they're getting rich in the process and it's actually what they care about. I think we're in for a good spot, which is, I think we're good. And it goes back to the theory of AI. I know people are saying they're doom and gloom about AI, but no, AI is just a technology. It's a neutral thing. Like I have this little kunai knife. I could use it to cut a pizza. I could use it to harm someone. The knife itself is neutral. Who assigns the value to the knife? Me as a user. And like we mentioned earlier, I mean, I can tell you personally that most, like 95% of the people building an AI are good people. And most of
Yeah.
the people who are using AI, because most people are good people too. So therefore, I think AI is going to be a great benefit for society, despite what's going to be pushed. Like, like the negative edge cases are going to be pushed. But no, like most people are good. They're trying to help. And I think AI and cryptocurrency work together to get us to the next level.
Awesome. I love that. All right. So where can people find you, find your products, find your services, connect with you?
Yeah, so if you want to connect with me personally, Instagram or LinkedIn is probably the best place. So Instagram, ERICDMCHUGH. LinkedIn, Eric McHugh. Dating, it's live on the App Store, so it's DATAING.io. We're currently building out the Android, so that's probably should be live by end of summer, but that's going a bit slower than expected. Aces.fun, ACES.fun. So that's like an eBay with a cryptocurrency spin on that. We're selling luxury collectibles and we have some pretty sweet products right now. So you just go to the website, see the products, join the community if you're interested in that.
Awesome. All right. One last question to ask. I got to know because I always want to know what everyone's going to say. And that's what's your number one tip for success as a business owner or an entrepreneur?
I believe in karma. So whenever you're creating your own reality, don't harm anyone and don't take anything away from anyone. You should be good to go.
Awesome. Great advice. Perfect. Thanks for that. All right. With that, it's just about time to wrap things up. I want to thank you so much again, Eric, for sharing all your insights and great tips with us. Visit dating.io for an AI powered matchmaking app or aces.fun for the derivative market to monetize luxury RWAs. Thanks for tuning in. And as always, remember, no matter what you want from your business and your life, don't compromise, optimize.